Hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the EKN Debrief, and it's episode number 145, March the 11th, 2025. My name is Rob Howden. I'll be joined by David Cole. Today, of course, the focus on the second stop of this year's Challenge of the Americas at K1 Circuit in Winchester, California. We'll dive into a full debrief report on that, the event that happened out at K1. Let's get started, though, by presenting our presenting sponsor for this week's show, OTK USA. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the US, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, and EOS chassis, and now the new Gallard, Lando Norris, and Carlos Sainz brands, OTK quality is second to none. To learn more about a specific product line or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, visit otkusa.com. All right, David, a couple days on. It's a Wednesday now here. We were down in Winchester, California, flew into San Diego and drove up to the track, our first time at K1. The event date, March 7th, 8th, and 9th. All told, a fantastic weekend for rounds 3 and 4 of the eight-round championship program.
Yeah, we had to avoid some rainy conditions there Thursday and at the end of Friday as well. But once we got into Saturday and Sunday, it was clear skies the rest of the weekend to provide a great backdrop for what was round 3 on Saturday and round 4 on Sunday for reaching the halfway point for this year's championship at the Challenge of the Americas.
Yeah, David, our first trip to K1, kind of, driving up there through the city and getting out, off the I-15, and just all told, our first look at it, there's work to be done still. We were in the main building, which is where they're kind of housed the rental cart program and where you come in and get checked in for rental cart. And there's going to be a restaurant and everything that's in there, and the debrief rooms. They're still working on it, and we're the entire weekend we were there. They were still working on that building, but in the end, it's going to be a very, very impressive facility when they get that part done, that kind of final component.
Yeah, it already is. I mean, compared to Cal Speed, it's a big 180 because, Cal Speed was essentially a temporary circuit, didn't have permanent buildings, was, the ability to move everything when NASCAR rolled into town, to where, K1 is become, it's very close to the track house of the West, where we saw, where there's garages, a main building, a restaurant, etc. So all that. So, and then the circuit is certainly unlike any other in the country right now in terms of elevation, speed, and more.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll dive a little more into that in the next segment when we dive into the paddock pass. But let's have a look at the numbers as we always do, kind of fill you in on where we were. Series started off in Tucson with 105 entries. At K1, they ended up with 114. I think it was 118 entered at one point, but had a couple drivers that were no-shows. So 114 drivers overall. A little bit of a drop in the cadet class to 18, but increases in both 100cc junior and 100cc senior and masters, actually. 100cc junior, David, up 1 to 26, plus 6 to 43 in 100cc senior, and then 15 drivers, almost doubled the amount of masters drivers in 100cc there as well. So, when you look at it, I know 114 entries total, but 102 of them were the single speed over 4 classes.
Yeah, it was an increase in 4 of the 6 categories. You said 60cc cadet, shifter senior were the only classes we saw a dip from the Tucson weekend. So yeah, it was a positive move in the right direction for the challenge in terms of number wise. We saw a lot of Southern California based racers there, especially in the 100cc Masters division. That was kind of the K1 bump that we did get. And even in the 100cc senior category where there was a lot of locals, because as we know, and we talked about in our outlap, this was a 3rd straight event at K1. You had the Tri-C Club race that was there 2 weeks ago. The week before that was the Pro Kart Challenge, Superkarts USA event. So a lot of racing happening at K1. So it's kind of going to be kind of a break for the California racers now in terms of the schedule, where they'll get back to club racing and regional racing soon.
Exactly that. 114 entries to kick off the first time for the challenge at K1. Again, as David had mentioned, we'll be going down to Sonoma at the next event. Into the next break here, folks, or our first break, actually. We'll get things underway with Paddock Pass after this. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is SodiCart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to the new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer SodiCart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. The Sodi Racing USA by PK Sports is the official race team, producing many victories in different levels across the board. And the new Pro Race Academy is designed to cater to the next generation of motor racing, helping boys and girls aiming to make their mark. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about SodiCart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. SodiCart, the world leader in the karting industry.
Welcome to AIM Sports and the groundbreaking Micron 6 karting data logger. Since its inception, AIM Sports has been at the forefront of motorsport technology, revolutionizing how racers gather data. From its early days, AIM has tailored its innovations to provide precise insights, allowing racers to fine-tune their strategies and push their limits. Fast forward to today, and we're excited to celebrate 30 years of Micron by introducing the latest evolution in karting data loggers, the Micron 6. Designed with cutting-edge features, including 25Hz GPS with mil-spec precision, a 6-axis inertial platform, shift lights and alarms, temperature inputs, and a host of wired and wireless expansions. With 2 CAN buses, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi, it's perfect for karting enthusiasts looking to enhance their game on the track. With its advanced suite of sensors, high-speed data acquisition, and easy-to-use interface, the Micron 6 delivers unparalleled performance on track. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, this powerful tool helps you analyze every turn, every lap, even every heartbeat. Imagine a tool that not only records your lap times, but also analyzes parameters like speed, tire temperature, driver inputs, and engine performance. With the Micron 6, you'll gain insights that can shave seconds off your times and elevate your skills behind the wheel. Don't just drive, be data-driven. Join the AIM Sports community today and equip yourself with the Micron 6 to take your karting experience to the next level. Visit aimsports.com to learn more. AIM Sports, 30 years of Micron.
Welcome back to episode number 145 of our EKN Debrief. Rob Howden here alongside David Cole as we dive into the action that happened this past weekend at the new K1 circuit out in California. The Challenge of the Americas running their 3rd and 4th rounds at the very fast racetrack. Let's dive into the Paddock Pass right now, presented today by Factory Carts. Made in the USA. It's not just a statement, it's the mission at Factory Carts of America. Led by 5-time Super Nationals champion Billy Musgrave, Factory Carts manufactures their frames completely in-house at their Phoenix, Arizona facility. Built and designed from the ground up specifically for the karting market, Factory Carts brings new innovations and solutions that are long overdue. No other karting manufacturer stands behind its products as Factory Carts does, providing a 2-year warranty on all their frames. Learn more by visiting factorycarts.com or email info@factorycarts.com. All right, David, let's kind of bounce back around here with the Paddock Pass. I know we were kind of buzzing around trying to get our audio system put together and dialed in throughout the Friday, which we would normally have had our Paddock Insider at the racetrack. But let's come back a little bit and talk about the K1 circuit. You did touch on the fact it's a very unique racetrack in terms of the layouts and just the way the characteristics of the track, unbelievably quick. And I think we mentioned it feels like it was built for shifters, at least with shifters in mind.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to drive it, but talking with people and watching the way the racing went, it is built for shifter car racing. It certainly is based around that type of speed because it's a very fast racetrack. Not a lot of slow parts to the course. There is that one hairpin in turn 8. You got a double rights, that's turn 4. But even there, it's still a pretty fast section. I mean, there's not a 30. I don't even think they get down to 30 miles an hour. It seems to me. So, that's something that I didn't check on that. But we have our onboard on YouTube with Nico Serfati of GFC karting. So make sure you go check that out to kind of get a feel for it. But really you have to be there to kind of get the elevation. That's something that, a lot of times the videos don't do. Is it does have a massive amount of elevation from the highest point, which is turn 4 all the way down to 12. I guess 12 would be the lowest point, maybe turn 11. I don't because I don't think the straightaway, you walked it, I don't think the straightaway is an uphill. I think it's downhill, isn't it? The long back straightaway.
It's not uphill for sure. At the maybe a little bit of a down, but you're right, David. From turn 4, the very top part of the racetrack with the backdrop as the mountain, you drive all the way down the hill, right? That big sweeping turn 5, 6, 7 drives you all the way down to turn number 7, which is almost level with turn number 12.
Well, that's just it. From 12 all the way up to 4, you're going uphill. So it's a lot of climbing, and include that turn 3, the Rocky Moran corner, which is a banked kind of Monza decompression. It just totally beats you up, beats the cart up, and it's super fast because it's a flat out corner. And then from turn 4, you're going all the way downhill to turn 7, and that's when you start going back up the mountain. Or hill, because it's not a mountain. You're going uphill from 7 all the way to turn 10, and then 10 you're going to go back downhill towards 11, and then 11 down the long straightaway to turn 12. So a lot of elevation. That is certainly something unique. You look at Atlanta Motorsports Park. We've never been there, but everybody talks about that racetrack and how the elevation is just unreal. And this has that type of elevation, just doesn't have that all of a sudden drop like you see it. But like I said, my favorite section, not walking around taking photos and watching the onboard, was turn 5. It's that left-hander going down the hill into the S's, and it's kind of like an elevated, S's are just super fast S's where it takes throttle control, driver control, kind of both at it, especially in the 100cc divisions.
Yeah, and like you said, you're kind of coming downhill, so it's almost off camber, turn number 5. Then you transition back to 6, transition back to 7, where it gets a bit tighter on the exit. The track it's a lot of fun. Obviously, when you build a brand new racetrack in a hotbed of karting like Southern California, a place that needed so much, a fantastic track that once again kind of injects some excitement, have a base of a top level racetrack to get that. That's what they've done. But the simple build of the racetrack, the design of the track itself by Rocky Moran, it's just a great layout, David. It was fun to watch, fun to call. There's at least 3 really good passing opportunities in turn 4, turn 8, and turn 12. Right, so you have a couple more, obviously, but those are the primary passing opportunities. It's just the bottom line is just a good racetrack.
Yeah, the design of the racetrack is really good, except it's very tough to view. That's the biggest dislike of the facility, that and the way the paddock is laid out, because that wasn't part of the original plan. And so again, there's certain aspects to it that you're like, it doesn't kind of fit in terms, especially the viewing part, very tough to see, but that's what you get when you have, I guess, 33 feet of elevation. You're not going to be able to see the racetrack.
So part of the paddock pass segment here is, one of the big stories, of course, on 2025 was the introduction of the Shinko Racing kart tires to the program with FTK Promotions and the Challenge of the Americas. And we had one of the reps from Shinko was actually there trackside, Dave.
Yeah, I forgot to write down his full name. We just call him Shinko Nick, because Nick is his nickname, for American nickname, I guess, English nickname, however you want to look at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is the Shinko Kart Racing Tires representative. He's part of connecting, Andy Saisman in the USA to this brand. Was there kind of taking in, what Challenge Americas is, and of course observing how the tire is producing here in at the K1 circuit. So he was going around talking to a lot of different drivers, teams, and getting feedback, listening to their I guess critique of the tire, things they like, things they don't like. And then he was taking a lot of data. That was the one cool thing. I think at the end of Sunday, had the temperature gauge out, was taking temperatures for a number of the karts that were just coming off the main events. And so again, that's the best way to learn, I think, in terms of like we do on the racetrack, you're taking data. So he's taking a lot of the information that he received or brought in, collected. It's going to take it back to the factory, and they're kind of going to, again, debrief kind of what they got and what they saw. And he's looking forward to coming back to the U.S. Hope maybe either Sonoma or Utah to dig even further into getting more data for the factory and understanding more about what the tire performance is doing.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Dave. Obviously, the first foray for Shinko here in the U.S., the tracks are all different. Everybody, as we know, the tracks have different, the actual pavement itself, the aggregate used, how hard is it on tires? You talked about temperatures. It's going to be different, of course, at K1 between the temps we had this weekend, high 60s, low 70s, to what it's going to be like when it's over 100 in the middle of the summer. But for somebody, for Shinko to have boots on the ground, somebody there on the tech side, like you said, they can gather all that data, all that feedback from the drivers. Just a fantastic thing, I think, to have them there to make sure that they're showing their commitment to the brand and the program and FTK moving forward. That was fantastic. David, one of the bigger talking points, of course, having Nick there was great with Shinko, but the big talking point on the weekend, and it actually held up the races at one point, was track limits. And with the uniqueness of K1, one of that, as a CIK circuit, there are areas on the racetrack where there aren't just gravel on the off track. It goes off with a lot of pavement off track so that it's safer for the rentals. They're not driving off into the gravel when the inexperienced drivers miss a corner. Well, that opens the door for the discussion on track limits. And there was a lot of drivers, especially in turn number 12, where you rolled through that corner very quickly. It's a very high end of the back straightaway. You're trying to get a lot of speed up into one. And you go, there's rumble strips on the outside, but it's all pavement on the other side of the rumble strip. So there was a line that was delineated rather. And David, that was one of the big talking points. There's a lot of track limit penalties throughout the weekend.
Yeah, it was focused on turn 12. That's the supplemental that was issued on March 6th prior to the event. Again, dealing with track limits. That was the focus. Because as you said, and we see it at other racetracks, Cal Speed was part of it. Tucson has part of that as well too, where they allow drivers to use access roads as part of the racetrack. Unfortunately, when you come back, it creates a little bit of havoc, and that's something that the challenge staff was looking to avoid. Especially with, really turn 12 is one of the easiest corners on the racetrack. It's a simple 90-degree right-hand corner. It's just one of the fastest parts of the racetrack. And, say you get past or make an error, there's rumble strips, but like you said, there's tons of pavement on the outside of it. And it quickly narrows back up as the straightaway begins. And so, again, they were enforcing, a driver. Here's a statement. A driver will be judged to have left the track if no part of the kart remains in contact with the track. So that was kind of the focus. The white line that indicates the edge of the racetrack was the kind of the border. If you were left of that, you were assessed a penalty. And if you stayed inside that border, you were, even if I believe they said, because that's kind of the thing, it's not in the actual supplement, and they didn't say, I think it was a 3-second time penalty per violation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, again, not something in the supplement that I asked for. But yeah, so that was, they had somebody there watching all day long, both in all the sessions, qualifying, pre-final, for all that. I got to think there had to be at least, over 50, probably 60, if not more, a day of those penalties, because, especially KA senior or 100cc senior and 100cc junior, that's where a majority of the penalties were kind of dished out with the larger fields. Okay. But yeah, again, it's a tough situation, because there's different ways of doing it. This is the first time they've actually imposed a track limit like this. So Challenge had a lot of hurdles trying to figure out how do they implement it? How do they assess the penalties? How do they deal with protests about the penalty? That was kind of one of the major hurdles. Yeah. So again, anytime you go to a new racetrack, you're always trying to figure out the move, the groove of how everything flows and that. So that was part of the hurdles. And then adding that track limit situation added another hurdle. And again, you don't want to just throw out a barrier there because if you do, you're going to cause even more issues. And again, so very similar to what we see at Trackhouse with that extra runoff room after the S's and then coming out of the main straight. It's not something you want, but it's done because of the rental cart business. And that's an unfortunate part of our sport right now. And again, you see it, the one track I kind of compared to it, even though I've never been there, is Bahrain. Bahrain has those kind of track limit situations where we saw over the two Rotax Grand Finals that have been there. They implement track limits. So it is not something new. It's just something new that the Challenge has had to go to battle with.
Yeah, big part of the weekend for a lot of the talking points, especially on Sunday afternoon, where we had to actually wait on track to get some grids set because drivers had not yet been assessed those track limit penalties. And
well, they were. It was protesting it.
Yeah, it was protest.
Let's be honest, because again, it was during qualifying sessions, and because of the way again, this is something brand new, something that they hadn't locked down in terms of procedure and how to get this done in a quick manner type scenario. And we didn't go to lunch until after pre-finals. So there was a lot of time from the end of qualifying to pre-finals. Because again,
the only big problem is there was only 5 classes, right? There's only 5 race groups.
There's only 5 race groups. So 6 classes. So yeah, again, there's not a lot of time trying to figure this out. You got the officials on the racetrack, because again, that's the other part of it with the circuit being so large. You got to have the eyes on the track, and that's a very key element. So yeah, again, when they go, when Challenge goes back to K1, they've done it. Now they can debrief, very similar to what we talk about with Shinko Nick and the tires and like racers do. Go over what works, what doesn't, how can we improve and get better at this procedure and hopefully keep things moving forward.
All right, folks, that's it for that. When we get back, it's time to dive into the race report. When we come back after this break, we'll talk about 100cc senior and 100cc junior. The race report up next. The Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is where out-of-the-box ease and outstanding consistency meet to create legendary races. Briggs & Stratton's history of motorsports dates back to when the first engines came off the assembly line in the early 1900s. Their focus on the grassroots level continues to help build generations of racers. Since 2008, the Briggs & Stratton 206 has gained a following that has the engine powering the largest fields in North American karting today. From the club level and track programs to traveling regional series and national events, Briggs & Stratton competition provides the most exciting racing in the sport. Engineered and hand-built exclusively for racing, every Briggs & Stratton 206 engine is power tested and serialized before it goes in the box. Karters can take that engine straight from the box to their kart and be on the podium at the end of race day. Be sure to follow Briggs & Stratton Racing on Facebook and through @RaceBriggs on Instagram. To learn more about the 206 engine or to find the North American dealer near you, head to BriggsRacing.com. Briggs & Stratton Racing, what powers you? CRG is one of the most iconic brands in karting, and we're primed and ready for the 2022 season with new material and a never-ending focus on winning. CRG Nordam is the North American distributor for all CRG products. Based outside of Houston, Texas, CRG Nordam supports CRG dealers across the continent, reaching every corner of North America. The CRG KT5 is our new chassis for tag and shifter racing, and it's been designed specifically for the US market. The KT5 features 30mm construction with a 32mm front loop to increase front grip. CRG's new VEN 13 brake system is cutting-edge technology with a master cylinder that allows for pressure regulation within the system. Drivers can customize brake pressure to their own requirements to improve feel and to avoid brake lockup. The kart is finished with new KG 507 508 bodywork that has refined aerodynamics and reduced weight. For cadet drivers, the 2022 CRG Black Mirror is already logging positive results to start the new season. This chassis will be making big waves in 2022. Longtime CRG drivers will be happy to know that the CRG Road Rebel, the standard in quality and performance, is still available. With four-cycle racing enjoying consistent growth in North America, CRG's FS4 chassis is the ideal choice for racers in Briggs & Stratton competition. From pure racing to karting entertainment, many tracks, both indoor and outdoor, have made the switch to the CRG Centurion rental kart line. 5 different models for both gas-powered or electric engines can fit any track's needs for a new rental kart fleet. CRG Nordam has a full inventory of rental karts available for new and existing facilities. For more information on the CRG product line, head to www.kartcrg.com, and to inquire about a North American dealer near you, please email us at info@kartcrg-nordam.com. Welcome back to episode 145 of our EKN Debrief, wrapping up our EKN Trackside Live coverage from rounds 3 and 4 of the Challenge of the Americas, the event held out at the K1 circuit in Southern California. Time to dive into the race report here, presented today by Comet Kart Sales. History, success, family. These are the 3 words that describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation is located just outside Indianapolis and has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in their near 6 decades of business. Their brand new updated online store features everything you need, and they are continually adding new parts to their product line. Make sure you head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. All right, D. Cole, let's dive into this one here. 100cc Senior presented at the Challenge by Forward Direction Motorsports. Here's the headline. Kaminsky rebrands facility the K2 circuit.
Yeah, Saturday was all about KK, my nickname for Keegan Kaminsky. A 105.282 was quickest in qualifying. And the funny part, we talked about with the rain hitting on Friday, that was during the 100cc pre-qualifying session. So only about 10 of those drivers went out. And so they kind of had to randomize the qualifying groups. So Kaminsky was in the first group, the quote unquote slow group, and he put down that lap. He said it wasn't going to hold, but it did hold through the quote unquote fast group in Group A. So a 105.282 held on, and it was a good little battle in the pre-final with him taking the win over Steven Eisert and Nico Sarfati making his senior debut in 2025. But in the main event, it was all Kaminsky. Got away clean at the start. Sarfati was trailing him for a little bit, but just didn't quite have the pace to keep up with Kaminsky as KK drove away to a 5-second margin of victory after the 18 laps for the victory.
Yeah, he got a little bit of help with the fact that the battle behind him was a pretty good one, right? With Johnny Stamps was in there,
Yeah.
Chase Hand, a lot of GFCs up front in this one for sure.
Yeah, in the closing laps, the second group was able to run down Surfati as again, he wasn't able to keep pace. So in those closing laps, there was a lot of shuffling and jostling for position. As you said, Stamps was able to get the position ahead of Surfati. Chase Hand up there into fourth, I believe, with a last corner pass. So made it a GFC 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Max Saga came across the line in the fifth spot there, losing that fourth spot to Hand in the end. But he was dropped down to P9 as he had 2 track limit violations against him. So otherwise, he would have been fifth. That promoted Archer Eversman and the Pantano up into the fifth position.
As we discuss how the day went and kind of rolled out here for the drivers in the 100cc senior class, it was Johnny Stamps essentially who rolled into the weekend with the de facto point lead. Oliver Hodgson, the Comcart driver, was the dominant factor at Tucson, had the lead, but did come to the event at K1. So Johnny Stamps took over the point lead. And with Kaminsky having such a weekend, Stamps needed to kind of step things up. He was second again on Saturday, as David had mentioned. So it's going to be tight in the championship for sure. David, let's talk about how things rolled out in qualifying. The only session that didn't have a Kaminsky on top ended up being qualifying on Sunday as Nico Sarfati turned the fastest lap.
Well, technically Kaminsky did, as he came out of the first group with the fast time. Unfortunately, a track limit violation dropped him from first to ninth. Promoting Surfati, who was in the fast group, up to the top spot with a 105.458. And again, Kaminsky said it wasn't going to hold up. It didn't, because he had the track limit violation. But he made quick work in the pre-final, got up to the front and up to the lead and the win in the pre-final. And then once again in the main event, it was all Kaminsky up front, driving away to a 2-second margin of victory to go double win weekend for KK.
Yeah, he walked away again to a 2.5 second victory. The bigger story, likely it happens so many times in motorsports, when the leader kind of checks away, you turn your focus deeper into the field. And the story really on Sunday, David, in the main event was Macy Williams. She was on the move in a big way, was able to get herself up a couple of spots. There was a huge gap. And that was the thing about this track too, is if you kind of get caught up a little bit in the back, the field gaps up pretty quickly. If they're working up front in a draft, they leverage 10 to 11, 11 to 12 in a big way. So Macy had work to do, but she started reeling everybody in and eventually was able to get by everybody. Isert, Stamps, Hand, everybody in front of her. Chase Hand. She ended up working her way to second. It was just a really solid performance by Macy Williams.
Yeah, she started dead last in the pre-final after an engine change. She had 2 VLRs she had declared and went to Miami on Sunday. So that moved her all the way to the tail end of the field. She was able to work her way all the way up to the 10th spot in the pre-final. So amazing run just alone in the pre-final. And then, as you said, got into that, I think it was 7th, and ran down that group battling for second.
Yep. And
just knifed her way through. I mean, just, bought time. That's the one thing about this racetrack, is you don't really have to force it. Like you make a pass and you kind of move, you just get into that rhythm. There was a very flowing racetrack. And so it kind of made passing a little bit easier. I mean, at least for the senior categories. We'll talk more about that with junior guys, but it just, again, if you had the right combination of speed, it made passing look just simple and easy. And of course, the draft was massive. That was something we talked about all weekend long as well too. But Williams had a great drive up into second. It was Chase Hand in the third spot, but track limit violation dropped him down to fifth. So that promoted Isert in the Speed Sense Motorsports Xpree up onto the podium in third. Stamps with a fourth position, then Hand back to fifth.
Yeah, again, like I said, the championship is going to be tight, with Kaminsky scoring a couple of victories and Stamps coming home in second and fourth. If this Sunday report reminds you a lot of what we talked about when they were in Tucson for rounds 1 and 2, in round 2, Macy Williams made an engine change there as well on Sunday, started at the tail of the field in the pre-main, and then ended up working herself up to be a star in the final as well. So
go ahead. Sorry.
I just said a couple of fantastic Sunday results for her. Engine changes turning into unbelievable performances.
Yeah, in the report, I called her the Sunday kid.
Sunday Kid. I like that. I think I called her the Sunday Girl at one point, but Sunday
Yeah.
Kid sounds good. I like it. Let's go to 100cc Junior, presented by Nash Motorsports. Here's the headline: Gibson and Ramirez split weekend.
Yeah, the junior category was certainly a battle all weekend long, not like what we saw in senior. As there a number of drivers up front, nobody wanting to work with one another. They're always passing. This was a class where we probably had this, and cadet were probably the classes where we had the most passes all weekend long. It was championship contender Eric Doan with the fast time in qualifying on Saturday, a 105.532 to put him up front, but it was actually Matthew Cagle who muscled his way up into the top spot in the pre-final head of Wes Witt and Jackson Gibson, as Doan dropped out of the top three. And then Doan dropped completely down the order at the start of the main event with a spin in turn 2 on lap 2 while battling up with the leaders, but came back and managed to drive all the way back up into P9 with fast laps of the race. So did salvage a little bit of points there after spinning early on in the main event. But up front, it was Gibson leading majority of the race. You had Witt leading a couple. You had Luca Popescu come up and become the challenger late in the race. But Gibson just proved to have just a little bit more than everybody else, as he was able to hold on to the victory, a second straight win for Gibson, winning by 47 thousandths of a second ahead of Witt.
Yeah, Witt got the run out of the corner and tried to make the move coming across the line. So they're essentially side by side, 47 thousandths of a second, as David had said. Ramirez coming home in the third spot, Popescu in fourth, and Braden Wagner up into the fifth position. There was a little contact late in the run, David, some issues with Matthew Cagle.
Yeah, Cagle was crossed the line in the fifth spot, but demoted down to eighth after a penalty for contact.
There you go. On Sunday, it was a Ramirez who came out of the gate strong with a 105.297, ended up qualifying on the pole position. The battle in the pre-final, he was right in the middle of that. But Eric Doan, David, this time again, up front, right in the middle of the fight, ends up working his way to the pre-final victory and a front row inside start for the main event.
Yeah, it started, led the field to the green flag, was the leader early on. Ramirez came up to lead. Jackson Gibson came up to lead. So again, a lot of shuffling up front. It was, I think, three drivers were able to break away at one point, but then as they battled up in the closing laps, the second group came right back into it, and it was probably about 10 karts, I think, all right there, battling for position there in the final corner, which led to the dramatic ending on the final lap with Ramirez out in the lead. They headed into turn 8. I was told by one of the kids they were 4 wide at one point going into turn 8. Unfortunately, we can't see turn 8 from where we were. So I'm waiting to see some onboard video. I haven't gotten any of that yet. So. But there was contact in turn 8 that took out Eric Doan. He was driven over, I believe, in part of that contact. And then in turn 9, more contact occurred with Matthew Cagle and Cole Anderson. Cagle actually flipping over and sliding into the tire barrier. Thankfully, he was able to walk away, along with Cole Anderson walking away from that contact. But up front, Ramirez was able to drive to the checkered flag unchallenged on the final few corners. He did receive a track limit violation, but was ahead enough because of all that wrecking to continue or to maintain the victory and earn his first at the challenge in the junior category.
Yeah, so Daniel Ramirez with the win. Braden Wagner ends up in second. It was actually Jackson Gibson across the line, P3. He got a track limit violation, dropped him to fourth. That moved Peyton Anderson up into third, Gibson back to fourth. And it was actually Xander Malatesta. He was P4 on the racetrack, but he had a track limit violation as well. He went back to fifth. So the results as they finished, David, were not quite where they came across the track. A lot of violations in this category. And you'd mentioned when we talked about track limit violations, 100cc senior, 100cc junior were really the kind of focal points of that discussion.
Yeah, and again, the incidents that occurred on the last lap could have been even more detrimental to, say, Gibson or Malatesta, because the way everything shaked out, they only each lost a position rather than multiple positions due to the field there getting shuffled up there at the end due to all the incidents we saw in the final lap. So lucky for Gibson because he's a championship contender. That certainly helps keep that in view for him coming off the victory on Saturday.
And if Eric Doan ends up being in the championship fight on Sunday at Utah in round number 8, we have to look back to this weekend because that recovery from being so far back, not just a spin, but he had to come so far back in the first race of the weekend on Saturday, fought his way back. I think he went from like 16th to 9th in the last lap on Saturday. So he ends up with a 9th, right? That would have been his drop, but he ends up with the incident and falls all the way down to the very tail of the order here on Sunday. So Sunday is going to be his drop. So that fantastic performance on Saturday could play a factor if he's able to win some races down the stretch to try to challenge Gibson and the rest for the title.
Yeah, he's going to need that home track advantage in Sonoma and hope for more luck in Utah.
All right, folks, another break. When we come back, we'll continue with this Comet Kart Sales Race Report with Senior Shifter and Master Shifter. They'll be up next. There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment, Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. New to the product lineup is the Stilo Carbon CMR karting helmet. Designed to revolutionize your karting experience, this carbon fiber crafted helmet is among the lightest on the market, without compromising on safety. The Stilo ST5 KRT karting helmet is manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material. The KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The Stilo ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision that is perfect for the youth helmet line. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva rib protector is unlike any other on the market, with a form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. The Carbon Curva 8870 version is FIA homologated and includes a chest protector. Head to StiloHelmets.com to review these products and many more to keep you safe on the track. Stilo, any competition, one helmet. Motor mounts. They keep your engine attached to your chassis, right? The answer is, they're much more important than that. Your motor mount is critical in transferring 100% of the power from your engine through to your tires and the racetrack. You need this to get on the podium each and every time you race. Odenthal Racing Products is here for you, providing the best motor mounts on the karting market today, all designed to make sure you're using all the horsepower you pay for. Odenthal Racing Products is a family-owned and operated business with decades of karting experience in providing products with unmatched quality and value for our racing community. The Pro Series mount for 2-cycle engines, which is available in 0, 5, and 8-degree inclinations, provides a rigid structure to help keep vibration to a minimum without adding too much weight to your setup. The 4-cycle Easy Set system is one of the most popular mounts for the Briggs & Stratton 206 power plant. Multiple mounting holes provide the most adjustability depending on your chassis and seat placement. To ensure a tight fit to your chassis, our ORP wedge clamps get the job done, and they feature a number of design updates to provide a lower profile and lighter weight. The clamps are available from 28mm to 32mm in both standard and Euro style sizes. And now, Odenthal has also revolutionized the karting industry with its new Easy GP camera mounting system. Designed to mount anywhere on your chassis with 1 or 2 cameras, the ORP Easy GP camera mount is your solution to capture that onboard winning moment. Head to OdenthalRacing.com and find a dealer near you. Odenthal Racing Products, proudly made in the USA. Welcome back to the EKN Debrief here, episode 145. Myself, Rob Howden, and David Cole breaking down all the action of the third and fourth rounds of the Challenge of the Americas at K1 Circuit in Winchester, California this past weekend. The shifter category is obviously kind of one of the disappointing areas. Only 6 drivers in each of the classes. It's really been a stronger part of the challenge over the last number of years, but the move to the KZ power plants away from the Rock as well kind of has changed the overall play on the category. Hopefully we'll see continue to grow on the West Coast. Let's start with Shifter Senior, presented by Sweet Tech Racing Engines. Here's the headline: Avancino extends streak to 4.
Yeah, it was a perfect weekend, essentially, nearly perfect weekend for Avancino as Saturday began. A 59.492 lap in qualifying secured him the top time in the pole position for the pre-final, where he was able to grab the whole shot and drive away to a win in that race. And then the main event was kind of the same, leading every lap, driving away to a 1.3 second victory for his third straight in the category. I'm just double checking, making sure it was wire to wire. We'll talk Sunday, but a wire to wire victory on Saturday for Avancino over Bryce Stevens and Anthony Freeze.
Yeah, I'll shout out to Bryce Stevens. Some good speed on the weekend. Avancino's kind of been the dominant factor since the start of the 2025 program here, and Stevens stepped up and was right with him for early parts of the race. Fell back a little bit at the end, obviously, for a 1.3 second victory with Avancino. But Stevens showed a lot of pace. Anthony Freeze in third spot. Evan Concepcion stepping things up from where he was on track at Tucson, a little more behind the pace. He stepped up, finishes 4th ahead of TJ Madonna. Sunday, Avancino coming right back at it again with a 59.629. He qualifies on the pole, dominates, I believe, the pre-final again, David. And then early on, it was a decent battle at the very start, with Stevens staying with Avancino at the start of the main.
Yeah, and actually in the pre-final, Stevens took the lead for a brief moment, and then Freeze came up into the second spot. But in the main event, Stevens kept on the back bumper of Avancino, was right there, but Avancino was able to inch away a little bit, and then by the last lap, unfortunately, I believe it was a broken chain that cost Stevens. Yeah. From reaching the checker flag. So he would finish on the sideline, allowing Avancino to claim the victory by over 8 seconds ahead of Freeze.
Yeah, Freeze gets his second podium, and Concepcion his first career Challenge of the Americas podium. TJ Madonna finishing in the 4th spot, and Stevens was 5th. We moved out of the Masters Shifter category, presented by Nelton Race Concepts. Here is your headline: Rook keeps perfect score after 4 rounds.
Yeah, it was a perfect weekend for the Indiana driver. A 1:09.967 lap in qualifying was quickest in the category, driving away to a wire-to-wire win in both the pre-final and final. In both races, it was Michael Gouache finishing in the 2nd spot on his teammates on the shifters, Maranello. Ahead of the GFC of Michael Faker. So a very similar finishing results in round 3 from what we saw in both rounds in Tucson. So Rook, Gouache, Faker, Chris, I can never say his name, Mickey. On the ITEL course, and Brian DeVert in the Sodi kart finishing 5th.
Yeah, the best battles, I think, in the Masters category was that fight between Gouache and Faker. They went kind of back and forth at it. Faker would have second for a time. Gouache was able to steal it back. An issue for Gouache in the pre-main on Sunday put him at the back of the pack, but still the same thing happened. They end up in a battle once again. On Sunday, Rook qualified a little quicker, actually, with a 60.686, found about 0.3 of a second moving into Sunday. He won the pre-final going away. Faker ended up getting that second after the issue for Gouache. Chris Mickey up into 3rd. Again, Rook just walked away for the main event, but it was, again, a battle between Faker and Gouache. They went back and forth a couple of times. Gouache made one really good move to take the spot, and it looked like he may be able to hold on to it, but Faker, I believe, came back and took the spot away once again, just another lap later, and coming home second ahead of Gouache, Mickey, and Marcin Clota, rounding out the top 5. David, anything to add to that?
Yeah, great battle for second. Rook just super fast. The one unique thing, he said the racetrack reminded him of Quincy in the park.
Yeah.
He said it just flows. It's super fast. It's smooth, like Quincy now being repaved. He said it's just so fast and smooth. So it was a unique comparison of the racetrack.
No doubt. All right, folks, another break. When we get back, we'll wrap up the race report with Ruthless Karting sponsored 100cc Masters, the Karting Collective 60cc Cadet. Cap it all off after this one. Check out any major national karting event, and what's the common thread? Speed Concepts Racing. Up front, in every class, every weekend. The Speed family has been at the forefront of American karting for over 25 years, and Speed Concepts Racing is the sole dedication of Father Mike Speed and his multi-time championship-winning son Alex Speed. This program is all about passion for the sport and a dedication to winning. They know how to get it done. If you're a senior driver ready to put yourself amongst the best in the country, Speed Concepts Racing is the program for you. We can win the big races. You just need to be in the seat. The Speeds program has delivered time over time in the junior classes as well, helping to elevate a long list of young drivers from mid-pack to potential race winners. Speed Concepts Racing has the perfect equation of coaching, driver development, and technical knowledge to elevate your program. Arrive and drive opportunities are available for the remainder of the 2023 season, and we're locking in seats for 2024 as well. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, contact Speed Concepts Racing through email at speedconceptsracing@gmail.com. Take advantage of the deals available through RTX USA Group, an official distributor for Rotax karting products in the United States. RTX USA Group provides Rotax engines, Mojo tires, and XPS products to dealers and competitors in the southern U.S. states, from their base in Florida all the way to California. Take advantage of their engine purchase offer, which gives you 2 sets of Mojo D5 tires when you purchase a Rotax Max Evo or the Rotax DD2 Max Evo. For those looking to add a Rotax Micro Max Evo MY20 or a Rotax Mini Max Evo MY-I20 to their lineup, those customers will be provided with 2 sets of Mojo D2 tires. Customers who purchase a Rotax Junior Max Evo won't be left out, also receiving 2 sets of Mojo D2 tires. RTX is also introducing the new Mojo Club, with opportunities to save on Mojo tires by bundling them together. Learn more about becoming a dealer or joining the Mojo Club by visiting rtxkarting.com today. Back at it here on the EKN Debrief. Let's wrap up the race report segment presented by Comet Kart Sales with 100cc Masters presented by Ruthless Karting. Here's the headline, David. Bonilla returns for the double.
I'm not sure if he's an In-N-Out fan, is he?
I don't know if he is or not. The double-double?
The double-double. It's not a double-double. It's only a double right now for him. So he got the no cheese like me.
Yeah, straight up.
But it was Christopher Mann, the fastest in qualifying after a penalty to 2-time Tucson winner Scott Falcone, who had 2 track limit violations in qualifying. So Mann ended up with the fast time, a 107.120 to lead the field to the green in the pre-final. But Falcone was able to work his way up to the top spot in that race to assume the pole position for the main event. In the main event, it was Falcone and Mann early on before Bonilla took over the lead on lap 6. And from there, Bonilla showed the way the rest of the distance, going on to win by just over 0.4 of a second ahead of 2-time winner Scott Falcone on the Pantano.
Yeah, you talk about the challenge category here, the drivers that come into the program. A new entry into the Masters racing with the challenge. Matthew Meach on a Tony Kart for Precision Works was right in the middle of the discussion all weekend long. He ended up finishing in the 3rd spot. Mann came home in 4th, and Eric Jackson able to hold on to P5. Just got all by himself, P5. It did change a little bit going into Sunday because the number of drivers kind of stepped things up a little bit. Jackson had some more pace. Meach had an issue, had to fight back. But in the end, in the beginning, Falcone started it, David, with a 107.243 to qualify on the pole. But the other driver who didn't run on Saturday decided to come play on Sunday was Greg Welch from Forward Direction Motorsports, the driver on the Pantano. We know, very talented driver, ends up running away, or not running away, but stepping up and winning the pre-final.
Yeah, he that was a crazy thing. So, and we were bugging all these guys. Falcone got a draft in qualifying, so it certainly helped him. Last lap was behind Meach, took advantage of the draft, got the quickest time. Both Bonilla and Welch were solo, didn't have any draft, and could have possibly gotten that little extra more. So it's fun giving the Masters guys a hard time. But you're right. Welch took over for the entry for Steve Weiner, who flipped on Saturday, was able to walk away, had a little bit of a wrist injury, but decided not to force anything on Sunday. So Welch decided to jump in his cart, or in his own cart, his own Pintano, and come out and was able to score the win in the pre-final. So a good little battle in that race with multiple drivers there in the mix. But Falcone actually got, was second with Bonilla and third. So it looked like we were going to have a great race. And it certainly was early on. We had Welch and Bonilla battling for the lead, was all right there. And you talked about Eric Jackson. He was one of those drivers who got better from Saturday to Sunday. Was sitting there in third. Bonilla made the move on Welch for the lead, and on lap 9, a little bit of contact between Welch and Jackson for P2 created some contact, and unfortunately put Eric Jackson off into the sidelines, and Welch all the way back outside the top 5. So that was kind of the defining moment, as Bonilla was able to kind of assume the lead or continue leading the rest of the way. He had Meach, he had Mann and Damon Duckworth all right there, kind of right at his bumper, but not really able to do anything. So really it became a battle for second there, as Bonilla was able to go ahead and cross the line first to score a second victory on the weekend. But that battle for second came down to the final corner and the run at the line, where we saw Mann able to score that position ahead of Meach, with Duckworth crossing the line in fourth.
Yeah, they were essentially side by side coming across the line. Mann got the spot, but it was Meach and Duckworth. Remember, they were side by side to the point where they actually had the photo finish on it. If you looked at it, it was unbelievably close. I probably would have, in my view of it, I think Duckworth probably had P3, but it didn't matter anyways, because he had, I think, two track limit violation penalties anyways that dropped him further back, time-wise back in it, but still finishing in P4 because Falcone had faded away at the end of that one there, so he had enough of a gap that Duckworth didn't lose a spot, but still finished in the P4 position. But it was a side-by-side run across the line, like you said, with Mann, Meach, and Duckworth. Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. But the ball don't lie, and that's how they finished. So it was a good finish to the weekend for the Masters category.
All right, well, let's cap off the race report, David, with 60cc Cadet presented by the Karting Collective. Here is the headline: Martinez leaves K1 with 3 straight.
Yeah, it's certainly a new name to the cadet division that is putting a mark down. We thought it would be Lucas Tarango. The Tarango is kind of one of the more experienced drivers in the field. He came out with a fast time in qualifying, a 1:11.159 to lead the session, and then won the pre-final. The crazy thing about this is what I noticed, at least in the Saturday pre-final. Rob, I don't know if you saw this, but it's kind of just like a Talladega. I mean, these guys were all kind of just drafting and passing every single corner, every single lap. Nobody was it wasn't like Daytona where they all stay in line. There was just a lot of big drafts. You get 3, 4, sometimes even 5 drivers in a train passing the cart that was in the lead. So it's just kind of like a big swapping motion all weekend long in this category. And Tarango came out of the pre-final with the win. In the main event, we didn't see that because there was just too much battling for second, as Andrew Yanis was able to break away from the field. He drove away.
Yeah, it's actually Janus. Let's get that.
Janus, yes, sorry, Janus. Yeah, got to the lead, and just nobody was able to challenge him as they continued to fight for second behind him. So he crossed the line first. Unfortunately for him, track limit violation did drop him off the top of the podium to the third position, and that moved Luis Martinez to the top spot and the podium for a second straight time.
Yeah, indeed. I guess I said he was one of the winners at Tucson, so keeping the streak alive. Luis Martinez with the win. Hudson Hidalgo comes home in second. Andrew Janus, as David said, with those penalties, dropping down to P5. Chase Rittering did a great job working his way into the top 10 and kind of settling himself in there. He was fourth on Saturday, while Mason Brody rounded out the top 5. We came back, though, with a couple of new names up in the front as well. Brandon Ing qualified on the pole, and he was actually part of the battle the entire rest of the day. 1:10.842, 3/10 quicker than they went on Saturday. He ended up qualifying on pole, starting there, fell back a bit, but David worked his way back up, ended up finishing in the second spot behind Hudson Hidalgo in the pre-final to lock out the front row for the main.
Yeah, because again, the pre-final was another wild and crazy race. Just a lot of shuffling for position, a lot of drivers up there in the mix. But in the main event, it was Ing that led the way early until lap 6. And that's when Martinez was able to put himself up to the point, and he led the remainder of the distance, going on to score a third straight victory in the 60cc cadet division, winning by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, Martinez with another victory, as David had said. Janus, another podium in second spot. Hudson Hidalgo, another podium in third. So those guys getting big points. Ing comes home in the 4 spots. Lucas Tarango, a much-needed 5th to keep himself in the championship fight. But one driver who's not represented in the top 5, despite the fact that he had unbelievable pace all weekend, that was Aaron Spears. David finished third on the racetrack. He crossed the line for a potential podium, but 3 separate track limit violations dropped him to P8.
Yeah, that's, again, part of the weekend where we saw the track limit violations dictate the podium.
Yeah, indeed. All right, folks, last break. When we get back, we'll go through the Constructors' Championship. We'll wrap things up. We'll have a look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar. In this day and age, if you need something for your karting program, it's just one mouse click away. One of the leading online stores in the sport of karting is tsracing.com. The Florida-based company has been serving the karting community for decades. TS Racing is one of the few kart shops with technical expertise in all divisions of karting. TS Racing's online superstore features a full range of the products you need to start karting today, or to restock your garage or trailer for the racing season. TS Racing is also the official distributor for Vega tires. For dirt, road racing, sprint, and the most popular 4-cycle tire with Cup Karts North America, a wide range of Vega compounds and sizes are available for your karting needs. Head over to tsracing.com today or call 352-793-9600 to learn more about the Vega tire brand or the many products that they have at TS Racing. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. We offer trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group is an official Kart Republic race team, providing full trackside support at all the major USA karting events, including the SCUSA Pro Tour, United States Pro Kart Series, the SCUSA Super Nationals, and other events throughout the season. TKG has Kart Republic, IAME, MG Novinco tires, and more products in stock for those in Ohio and the Midwest region. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. All right, let's wrap up this edition of the EKN Debrief and put a cap on our EKN Trackside Live coverage from the Challenge of the Americas, their first trip to the K1 circuit in Winchester, California, rounds 3 and 4 of the series. David, let's roll out the Constructors' Championship. How did it look in terms of brands winning on the weekend?
Well, we saw a number of double wins on the weekend. We got GFC with 2, CRG with 2, Maranello with 2, Allen Racing Kart with 2, and Croc Promotions with 2. So that's 5 brands with
When a
2
driver
wins.
sweeps this weekend, it's nice for the brand.
It is, and it's all 5 different chassis. That was the
Mhm.
unique part about it, certainly.
Yeah.
So we saw 5 different brands with 2 wins off of one driver, and then we saw the Gallard and Tony Kart win in the junior category. So 7 brands in total for the 12 wins.
Let's do the wrap up here. One of the things we always wait till the end of the day or end of the weekend to talk about, David, is 0 red flags. Not one time did the red flag come out. There was a couple incidents. There were drivers that needed to come and check in with the EMTs. We did have a couple of flips that you had mentioned, but otherwise everybody walked away. And 0 red flags, especially Dave, at a high-speed track like that, man, I'll tell you, that was a great way to end the weekend.
Well, again, there's not that slow corner where somebody's coming from 20 feet back and just driving into the back of another driver. Yeah, so that helps. But you will get a couple flips here and there. It just kind of happens. You know, the Steve Weiner one, he got sideways and unfortunately Chad Wallace got into the side of him as he was already and the tires just grabbed him and sent him over. It's just part of karting, and we see it all the time. And we don't know exactly what happened in turn 9 in the junior category. We're still waiting to see that video. So, but again, the main part is all the drivers are able to walk away.
One of the notes you have down here, David, is an average of 19 entries per class, up a couple from Tucson.
Yeah. So again, the event average entry was 19 entries per class, up 2 from Tucson. So if we get some more shifters, we could bring that up over 20. So again, only 6 categories on the weekend. So it's still, when we talk about numbers, it's still a solid number to see nearly 20 entries per class.
Yeah, remember, folks, this is the only West Coast program, national program that travels up and down the coast, right? This is the program for the West. There's some solid regional programs, which is great up for Pacific Northwest, PKC down in California. But man, you want to see this program for the sport itself, for the industry to be strong. It is the halfway point of the expanded championship, David. Again, normally it's a 3-weekend, 6-race series. This year, 4 weekends, 8 races. So we're at the halfway point. We can have a look at the championships, and of course, we'll do that. Look at the point standings when we do the outlap before we head to Sonoma. But Dave, that's a 2 months break before we get to Sonoma. It's what is the date actually? I don't have it in front of me right now for that Sonoma weekend.
Well, Rob, it's going to be in our race calendar in our next segment.
It's not 2 months. It's 6 weeks.
Well, it's essentially, it feels like 2 months because we're at the beginning of March. It's going to be the end of April. So you're essentially getting through 2 months.
6 weeks. But yeah, you're right. For sure. So 2 month break, big break in the action. Obviously drivers will maybe run some regional, some club racing, whatever it may be. But yeah, we got some time, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the championship looks like when we talk about the outlap for Sonoma, because it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of really cool drivers that have stepped up. And of course we know when drivers move up to different levels, that new drivers are going to come to the forefront. But I like the way this championship battle is shaping up. There's a lot of drivers who have shown well over the first couple of weeks. We've talked about it, Dave. There's a number of drivers that have more than one win on the season.
Yeah, we're gonna see great battles in senior, junior, masters, and cadet, certainly.
Maybe not so much in the shifter classes.
Nah.
We'll see. All right,
we might have to put some bounties up. Yeah.
So there you go. Let's wrap this up with the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar, presented today by the Rawlison Performance Group. At the Rawlison Performance Group, we strive for ultimate success. We're more than just an arrive and drive race team with countless wins on the national and regional level. Our focus is on complete driver development, and that's where the success is fueled. We combine one-on-one coaching, on-track instruction, and intensive data debriefing with unparalleled kart and engine prep. Our program will help you raise your game. We'll take you to the next level. If that's your goal, RPG needs to be your next move. Experience the Rawlison difference. All right, David, you mentioned it. EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar. At the tail of it is our trip to the Challenge of the Americas. But for you, I'm coming. I kind of wrapped up a 3-weekend run for myself. This is a big one for you because you're home for a couple of days from K1, and tomorrow you head out for the USPKS opener, the Daytona Super Grand Prix at Daytona International Speedway. I know how much you love Daytona. Time to start off a brand new season of USPKS competition.
Yeah, in exactly about 24 hours, I will be landing at Daytona International Airport, looking at the Daytona International Speedway. So it's exciting. I'm seeing some photos from some of the USPKS staff who are there now. Teams are moving in today to get set up for the weekend and what will be the inaugural race for USPKS at the World Center of Racing.
That's it. A couple of weeks later, you and I will reconvene once again. We're going to head into Houston, New Caney, Texas, to be exact. Talk about the USPKS getting their program underway. So will the SuperKarts USA Series, as they will launch their Pro Tour for 2025 at the Winter National Speed Sports Racing Park. Again, a fantastic racetrack. So many overtaking opportunities. I saw that they topped the 200 mark there last week. They put that out on social media, so expect some pretty good numbers. That paddock will be packed, David, at Speed Sports when we head there at the end of March.
It will be stuffed, smothered, and chunked, just like our Waffle House order.
Wow!
Sorry, I'm sleep deprived right now, so I just heard you say that, and I just thought Waffle House. So
that's funny.
Maybe I'm just hungry. I don't know.
maybe just that's so funny. Yeah, EKN's Trackside Live coverage of the SCUSA Pro Tour International is brought to you by Waffle House.
Yeah, it'll be great. Hopefully we won't be in the Rob Howden Tower. I don't like going in there because it's named after you, but great racetrack. I got to visit it a couple of years and it produces amazing racing. So that is going to be one thing that we do see all weekend long for what will be the Winter Nationals and kickoff the SCUSA Pro Tour.
And sadly, the only Pro Tour event I'll be able to go to this year conflicts with my USF Pro Championships competition for those other races. So sadly, it'll be the only one I'll do. Then I'll be looking forward to the Super Nats for SCUSA competition after that. But David, as you mentioned before, our EKN Trackside Live race calendar will cap it off. It's a month down the line. March 14th to 16th for the USPKS Daytona Super Grand Prix. March 28th to 30th for the SCUSA Pro Tour Winter Nationals. April 25 to 27, the end of April, the Challenge of the Americas reconvening at Sonoma Raceway. Of course, one of the best views in American karting. Great racetrack as well. Again, talk about fantastic racetracks. Sonoma, so racy. And then, it'll be rounds, 5 and 6 of the Challenge. So looking forward to getting back out with the Challenge family at one of the most fantastic racetracks in the country.
Yeah, it's April. We haven't been to Sonoma in April, or at least this late in April, in a long time. So we'll see what kind of the weather we get. When we're there early April, we kind of get that cold weather. So I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit warmer when we get there. I'm sure the grass will still be a little bit green because it quite hasn't been burned off yet by the Northern California sun. So it should be great conditions there. That's my hope. Obviously, it's a great racetrack. We've drove it many times. Produces great racing. The new tic-tac-toe section is a new challenge for a lot of the drivers. And again, that long straightaway. So you still got your speed, tight corners, off-camber corners, lots of everything there.
That's it. All right, let's wrap up this edition of the EKN Debrief. We capped off our EKN Trackside Live coverage of the third and fourth rounds of the Challenge of the Americas, the trip to their first trip to the K1 circuit, our first trip to the K1 circuit. We like it. It's a heck of a racetrack. Tough to view for sure, but the racing was fantastic. Again, big thank you to OTK USA for being our presenting sponsor of this edition of the Debrief. And we are wrapped up, folks. For David Cole, my name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.